Greetings and welcome to Perfect Game Field here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and it's day 2 of the 2022 NCAA Division III Baseball Championships. We kick things off here on this Saturday morning with Game 1 in day 2. You can see how things folded out. Day number 1. All the top 4 seeds advanced with victories yesterday, so now this matchup between Wisconsin-Stevens Point and Catholic University from Washington, D.C., the 5 and the 8 seed, turns into an elimination game. The loser call is still alive in bracket number 1. Greetings, everybody. I'm Bob Brand, along with my partner Bill Brophy and our crew here in Cedar Rapids. The Catholic University making their first ever trip here will send Fitzgerald to the hill. Bill, he's a right-hander.
And he's a sophomore from Annandale, Virginia. Gets the call on day 2. Been a reliever much of the year. Here's his first pitch.
And Matt Bauman lifts it high to right field. Nardi comes in, and makes the catch on the run. 1 up, 1 down with 1 pitch.
Fitzgerald 6-3 on the year with a 4.09 ERA. This is his 17th game, just his 5th start. He's had 2 saves out of the bullpen. In 44 innings, Fitzgerald's allowed 50 hits, 20 earned runs, walked 11, struck out 50. Opponents have hit 278 against Fitzgerald, who gets the ball because, well, they've got injury problems. Tucker Alch has been their ace all year. He had a twinge in his elbow during the Super Regionals, and he is not drafted. So Fitzgerald, a bit of a spot starter, gets the ball in a game that Catholic's got to have. Welch is a potential draft. He's had a lot of big league attention. The draft's in July this year. He's been invited to pitch in the Cape Cod League. So as a precaution, they're not going to risk problems with that elbow. And Alch won't pitch, but Fitzgerald will. He's already got an out.
This is Aaron Simmons, an All-American outfielder for Stevens Point. Bauman, the left fielder, led it off with that first pitch fly out to right. Simmons will be followed by Nelson, the center fielder. Comer, the third baseman. Tomczak is the catcher. Then Ludke, the DH. Henwood at first base. Booz at second base bats 8th. And Matson is the shortstop batting 9th for Stevens Point out of Wisconsin.
Pointers now Catholic 35 and 14. We start 15 minutes late. We've had early morning rain, so the outfield could be wet here. The tarp covered the infield. Ground crew, as usual, has done a nice job get the field ready to play. But we start 15 minutes late because of some weather problems.
Simmons gives it a ride to right field. Going back, looking up. It's up, over, and out. The first home run of the tournament happens on day 2 with the second batter for the Pointers as Simmons goes yard.
21st home run of the year for Simmons, the player of the year in the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. The second team All-American, and he gives his team the early lead with a bomb out to right field.
And happy, joy dugout, and what a swing here, Bill.
Yeah, he hooks this one down the line. Like he knew it was gone. Gets it over one of the shorter parts of the ballpark, but that's a home run in most ballparks. Simmons gives the Pointers a 1-0 lead.
Yesterday, Simmons tripled in a run that gave him the all-time career triples mark in his that milestone, and today he goes one better and puts Stevens Point up with a
Now with 64 RBIs in the year and 21 home runs.
And as I mentioned, 4 games played yesterday, nary a ball that went out the. And we get off the schneid here right away, the second batter on day 2. Here's Peyton Nelson, and he bounds it towards third base. Tesorio's there, throw across, 2 away.
Yesterday's 4 games were played in perfect conditions. Sunshine, little some wind, but it wasn't a big factor. Today the wind is blowing in, and again, weather could be a problem. Certainly the outfield is wet and slippery. Forecast is generally good until tomorrow, and then it's plain ugly. Certainly showers predicted most of the day. Whether they'll play through it or not remains to be seen. But let's play ball right now.
Yeah, let's. Here's Brad Comer. Big swing through the bench. Hitting the cleanup spot for Stevens Point. And their head coach, Nat Richter, a former Pointer himself back in the day who played in this College World Series. Another big cut there, 0-2.
Points here for the 6th time. Their first finished 3rd. Again, they came in 2nd in the WIAC to Whitewater this year, but they beat Whitewater 2 straight in the Super Regional last week in Whitewater to punch their ticket here for the first time in 9 years.
It was interesting. We got the lineup cards in Catholic University where it says opponent. They filled out Wisconsin Whitewater. A little faux pas there. Purple team. You look over it.
I don't think the Pointers would be.
No,
the Whiteys.
Well, they took care of the Whiteys on their home field back in Whitewater. Won the best 2 of 3 series in the Super Regional to get here, and took games 1 and 2 at Whitewater. Very impressive postseason run by Stevens Point. They got to host the regional the week prior. 2-2. And strike 3 call by Ron Black, but the Pointers draw first blood here in game 1 on day 2. A Simmons home run makes it 1-0 Stevens Point. Stevens Point, it's Catholic's turn now to swing the sticks. There was baseman, Burton the first baseman, and right. Giambetti is the DH in the cleanup spot. Tesorio's at third base batting 5th. Then Malave the left fielder, Duke the center fielder, Fisher the catcher, and Watson the shortstop. It's Pickering the right-hander on the hill that they will face.
Casey Pickering's a sophomore from Naperville, Illinois. 5 year, he's 6-1 with a 4.43 ERA. This is his 12th appearance. Complete games for the in 65 innings. Pickering's allowed 64 hits, 32 earned runs. He's walked 20, struck out 45, and opponents have hit 262 against Casey Pickering.
So the defense for the Pointers, Bauman's in left, Nelson in center, Simmons in right, Henwood left to right on the infield with Tom Zach, the catcher behind the dish for the right-hander Pickering.
Pickering throws a couple different kinds of breaking balls. He won't overpower you. He'll keep hitters off balance. Breaking pitch or 2.
Second baseman Posey steps in. Dante looks to take.
Posey hit 285 coming into the tournament. Went 0 for 4 yesterday. Catholic was shut out by Miss. Marietta's the top seed in this tournament, and Trent Valentine and Sam Matthews combined on a 4-hit shutout, quieting the Catholic University Bats.
Pickering gets ahead 0-2. Squeezed by Tom Zach, 1-2. As I mentioned earlier, the kids from the Washington, D.C. area, Catholic University, first ever trip to the College World Series. Happy to be here. Say it's a building block of their program to make the future bright. Pickering off to a great start. Called third strike. 1 down in the bottom of the first.
Posey, the freshman, caught looking at one of those breaking pitches from Pickering.
The first baseman,
umpire rings him up. The first out of the game for Stevens Point.
Here's Burton, the first baseman.
Into the tournament, went 1 for 3 yesterday.
Little chopper foul. The men in blue for this first game on day 2. Ron Black is behind the plate calling balls and strikes. Donnie Smith is at first base. He's also the crew chief. Mike second base and Justin Sims at third. We do have replay, ladies and gentlemen. Challenges. Calls can also be initiated by the umpiring crew down in the field or upstairs. Only had a handful yesterday in the first 4 games.
I think we only had 3.
Wasn't?
We didn't. It didn't seem to be like last year. Often.
High in the infield. Who wants it? Look out. Home off to make the grab. 2 away.
Usually the pitcher gets the heck out of the way and selects which infielder he'd like to take the pop-up. Pickering seems him out and elbow him out of the way.
Yeah, he's a bigger dude. He said, I got it. And now Nardi, the right fielder.
Nardi's 31 average, 8 homers, 40 knocked in. Went 1 for 4 in the loss. Had it.
Low from Pickering, 2-0.
Cardinals are the champs of the Landmark Conference, one of the few teams in the Landmark Conference to ever get here. One of 2 teams to come out of that conference and make it to the national championship.
Inside outs it. Goes to left field for a base hit. Nardi's aboard with 2 down.
By Nardi. Hits the hole between short and third here. And he's a junior from Potomac, Maryland, and saw the hole and got it. Hit the hole with a nice swing.
So he's aboard for the designated hitter, Peter Giambetti.
He's their biggest power threat. 15 homers, 59 RBIs on the. That's 16th in Division III. 4th team All-American. Here in his region, he was quiet yesterday. 0 for 4.
He was frustrated too. He could not figure out the Marietta pitching staff, especially Valentine, who befuddled him, as my partner would say.
He was off balance all day.
Oh yeah, talking to himself, talking to his bat. It's just Peter wanted to hit the reset button. He gets a chance here this morning in day 2, 1-1. Nardi's at first, very economic. Squeezed by Tom Zach. 2-1.
Betty's a senior from Malvern, Pennsylvania.
Pickering a glance over the shoulder at the runner to the plate. 2-1, fouled off.
Follow up on your point how they're building. Jim Betty's only one of 5 seniors on this roster.
Yeah, this was an important piece for them to punch their postseason ticket. Set the table for success. That was their message in the dugout. Certainly play here as long as they possibly can as Simmons gives chase and it's foul. But the big picture is just that this was needed to break through, and they will use it going forward to establish the program and keep it contender. Make coming to this place a destination that is within reach.
Ross of this program. He's been there for 37 years. Coached over 700 games, which has over 340 wins.
Up the middle it goes. Matson tries to get there but can't. First and second with 2 away for the Cards.
Seeing I single here, gets past, gets being shortstop and into center. Cardinals have something going with 2 out.
The third baseman, number 32, Matt Tesoriero.
And now Matt Tesoriero, the third baseman. .347 hitter. Takes ball 1.
Sorio's second in the club in RBIs with 41. Has the opportunity to tie the game if you get a 2-out single here.
Belts at the left, some juice behind it, and that ball is gone. 3-run home run, and boy, the dingers were absent all day yesterday. 2 already this morning. 3-1 Cardinals.
6th home run. And Catholic University has its first life of the tournament after their bats were silenced yesterday. That swing there, he extends his arms and pulls it to the shortest part of the ballpark, but that's clears the fence by quite a bit, as you'll see right here. The Cardinals lead the Pointers 3-1 in an explosive first inning.
The left fielder, number 59, Lucas Malavi.
First inning, 2 home runs. More to come, I have the feeling. Here's Malave, the left fielder. And the wind is blowing in. It's coming in from center field. But that shot and Simmons' shot. There's a hard hit ball going back Bauman, and he makes some hard hit balls to be sure, and one that went out of the park. 3-run home run puts Catholic in front of Stevens Point. 3-1.
Invesco QQQ is excited to present How to Not Suck at Money, a free-to-play, browser-based game that helps college students navigate financial topics via approachable and interactive lessons. Scan the QR code now to play How to Not Suck at Money or visit hntsam.com.
Here's the catcher, number 28, Anthony Tomczak.
Fitzgerald has some breath. Gave up for the first. His offense got 3 back in the bottom half. 3-1 Catholic University. Anthony Tomczak leads off the second for Stevens Point. He's the catcher.
A freshman from Muskego, Wisconsin. Didn't play yesterday. Kyle Finger got the start behind home plate. Tomczak's average-wise for Stevens Point, hitting .390. This is his 23rd start. He's only had 82 at bats. 3 homers, 20 RBIs.
Ludke is the DH with the first baseman. One and 2 to Tomczak. Just missed. 2-2.
This is home. If you win, you play tomorrow against the winner, or excuse me, against the loser of the next game, Salisbury and Marietta.
Sawed him off. Long run to get to this ball, and getting to this ball is Duke, the center fielder. Highlight reel grab there. One away.
Duke, better defender than Antonucci, who was playing center yesterday. He shows it here, goes a long way, and reaches out. Makes a very, very nice catch for the first out in the second inning.
There, no harm. Great effort. Ludke does.
Tommy Antonucci put the field. Duke considered the better defender, and he showed you why right there. Billy Duke, I said. It's Tommy Antonucci, but it's Billy Duke who made the circus catch.
One and one to Ludke. And in the DH spot, hitting .374. He's got some pop with 14 home runs.
Quiet yesterday, though, 0 for 3. Jimmy Adkins, the D3 pitcher of the year from Salisbury, quieted the superior Stevens Point bats for the most part. Allowed only 6 hits. An 8-2 win over Point.
That one's foul off the tarp down the left field line, which got used this morning. Two and two.
No, by losing yesterday, both these teams have a very long road. They don't still want to win the championship. You got to win 5 games. Needless to say, that taxes one's pitching staff. They need some length from both starters today, these clubs do, because again, they'll play again tomorrow. And the next day.
And then
and the next day.
There's a base hit. Past the first baseman, Burton. Ludke on his horse into second base with a double. Point in search of trying to reclaim some of the runs they gave away in the bottom of the first.
He pulls this one down the line for his 14th double of the year. Gets in the corner. Nice job by Nardi to get it in. Luke's in scoring position with 1 out for the Pointers. And these guys can mash.
Have they ever? Big reason they got here to the College World Series because of their offense. Here's Quinn Henwood, the first baseman. He hitches, thought about it, but it's ball 1.
Point averages over 9 runs a game. By Atkins yesterday, they had scored 131 runs in 10 postseason games. Swing it.
That's a strike, 1-1.
Collectively as a team, Stevens Point's .321 batting average. Homer, they've hit 81 bombs this year in 50 games.
Dancing around behind second, and Fitzgerald keeping an eye on Ludke. Henwood waiting on the 1-1 pitch. It's 2-1.
Henwood, a .250 hitter coming into the tournament. Went 0 for 4 yesterday.
That's high, 3-1. So Fitzgerald, who gave up a home run in the first inning, offense gives him 3 back. Now Stevens Point threatening to cuff up the right-hander and reclaim some of those runs. Here's a roller to short. Watson will get there, go to first for out number 2.
Play was in front of Ledke. He made the decision not to try to get the third. Went back to the bag and saw Watson throw out Henwood for the second out.
2 down. Second baseman. The purple-clad fans boo Jacob. That's for their affection of number 22. Runner at second is Ludke. Booz takes ball 1.
Went 1 for 4 yesterday. Had moved down the order. He was sitting in the 6 hole yesterday, hitting the 8th spot today for Nat Richter.
Fitzgerald, peek back at second, the 1-0. Got a strike, 1-1.
Who's had a triple and knocked in a run yesterday for the Pointers. Came in the 6th inning. Score was still close. Made it 4-2.
One pitch. High chop over the pitcher. Watson gets there. Retires the side. Pointers threaten, but Fitzgerald and his defense close the gap, keep this game 3-1, middle of 2. The grain elevator just beyond the wall and on the right field line.
Drone operator Alex, a busy guy this tournament.
Yeah, Alec is steady as she goes. Able to make that maneuver without any worries, any
Off the
bothers.
bottom of the second for the Cardinals, center fielder, number 40.
And a good view of Perfect Game Field at Veterans Memorial Stadium. Opened in 2002. It's been the home to this event now 3 times. Taken over after Appleton, Wisconsin hosted for 20 years, 19 years.
Billy Duke, who made that sensational play in center field, leads off the bottom of the second for Catholic University. Pickering just misses 1-1.
Duke's hitting .271 on the year, 6 homers, 41 RBIs. He's a graduate student from Medford Lake, New Jersey.
Oh, nice pitch there, 1-2.
Pickering doesn't throw hard.
Ooh. Duke wanted to reach out there and try to slap it to left. Holds off, 2-2. Gloved by Matson. You saw Pickering have ideas of trying to leap up and snag that from the mound. Matson, though, says, I got your back.
He shows he's got some springs. Nice play. Short. He jumped perfectly, catching the webbing of his glove. Very nice play. Logan Matson's a sophomore from Neillsville, Wisconsin, and a defensive gem there, helps out Pickering.
One away for Matt Fisher, the catcher. The 1-0 from Pickering. Good off speed there.
Fisher, a .297 hitter. Went 0 for 1 with a pair of walks yesterday against Marietta.
Fisher waits. The 1-2. Up high. Pulled down by Tomczak.
Point used 5 pitchers yesterday and losing 8-2 to Salisbury. J.D. Schultz gave him 5 innings in the start, allowed 4 runs and 4 hits. And then we saw a parade of relievers. Got to know many of our friends in the Stevens Point bullpen.
Ball 4. Fisher, patient AB, draws the free pass with 1 away. Brings up Tig Watson, the shortstop.
The shortstop, number 3, Tig Watson.
Watson has struggled offensively this year, just hitting 182 on 1 for 3 yesterday, the 9-hole hitter for the Cardinals.
He's in there at shortstop for his defense. Tightens things up the middle. We'll give this one a ride. Backpedaling. Bauman over his head. Fisher, they're going to wave him home. Throw comes home late. How about it? The number 9 hitter, Tig Watson, uncorks one to make it 4-1.
Well, they didn't show much respect for Tig and played him shallow, and he hits one over the head of the left fielder, Bauman, who can't get back there to make the play. Takes a crazy bounce off that wall. And it's a run-scoring double for Watson, and Catholic Pageant's lead. They're up by 3. Bullpen activated for Stevens Point.
Boy, is that a big knock. And now you get back to the top of the order. And Posey, the leadoff man, gets an opportunity with Watson out at second base. Ball 1 to him.
Nick Carpenter is throwing in the Stevens Point bullpen down the first base line. Can't afford to let your starter get in too much trouble. You got to have a quick hook today because there's no tomorrow if you lose.
Strike to Posey. 1-1.
You got to coach a little differently. All hands on deck. Bullpen's got to know that.
Four runs and 4 hits for Catholic University. And another one available for the taking. Out at second base in Watson. Posey, 1-1, 2-1. Ground ball to short. Matson will go to first for out number 2. Watson over to third.
Good base running play. And the play was in front of Watson. He saw that Matson was going to have to go up the middle, and his momentum was going to be going that way. So why not break for third? He did. That's where he stands 90 feet away with 2 out here in the second.
So 2 down. Zach Burton, the batter. Chance to make it 5-1 here if Zach can find some green. Good scoop by Tomczak. Be careful here with that runner at third if you're Pickering.
And Tomczak's got to be on his toes to knock anything down in the dirt.
framed it there for his pitcher and got the strike. 1-1. But just a tad high, 2-1. Going at 40 pitches total. Tomzak, oh, great job. Saved a run right there. Count is 3-1.
Pickering's only walked one, but he's thrown almost as many strikes as balls. Behind of the count here.
Burton waits, takes a strike, count is full. With 2 down. Zach Burton takes strike 3. Rung him up, but number 9 hitter in the order, Watson, delivers. Another run for his team to make it 4-1 after 2. Clouds, actually some brightening as well. The gloomy skies are threatening to leave Cedar Rapids for the moment, which is good news.
We started 15 minutes late because of the early morning rain shower. Rained quite a while. Harper's on the field. Anyway, we started at 10:15 instead of 10 o'clock. But all is good, I should say. The heavens are lightning.
The guys at D3Baseball.com, they've now set it at TarpCon. It's now TarpCon 4. It was at 3 this morning. And then as soon as the personnel went out there, they upped it as Matson kick starts the third with a single up the middle for Stevens Point.
Watching that run scoring hit out of the 9 hole. Logan Matson, the first pitch of the 3rd inning out of the 9 hole for a single.
Well, you pointed it out, Bill. This Stevens Point team, they can mash, and they have been in games when it's just been a slugfest back and forth. And to see a 3-run deficit, nothing to them. They know they can swing the sticks and get back in this baseball game.
And they prove it to themselves. They're very resilient.
Back to the top of the order, Matt Bauman, who flew out to right his first AB. It was the first pitch of the ball game he saw. See if his first pitch swinging here. Nope, takes ball 1.
The Pointers beat Whitewater 11-7 in the Super Regional to underline Bob's point.
And I believe the lead was 6-0. Stevens Point. Whitewater rallied to tie it. And then Point just bunched another batch of runs together to win it. One and one to Bauman. Lifts this one to left center. Duke gets over there to make the catch, 1 away. And now Simmons, who went yard in the top of the first inning. That's when Stevens Point had their brief lead in this contest.
Right fielder number 1.
And here it is, Bill.
Aaron Simmons.
He yanks this one down the line.
Nice bat flip.
Yeah, he knew it was gone.
He stomped on home plate, fired up his dugout mates.
And he's done that 21 times now this year, so he's got that home run thing down. Aaron's a 6th-year player out of Franklin, Wisconsin. He gets the extra COVID year, so one of the older players on the Stevens Point roster. Hutke's the old man on this team, though. He started in Minnesota Morris in 2017.
That's something. Bouncer foul.
Again, the NCAA granted an extra year eligibility to all its spring sport athletes because of COVID. That's a lot of these players elected to come back. Just from a maturity standpoint, you're older, you're stronger generally, another year in the weight room.
Hanging out with your buddies. Why would you leave, right?
Yeah.
I wondered how that was going to play out when that was announced. Like, you know, if you're done with school, aren't you done? Don't you want to be done? Especially for players that are here, they're no doubt happy that they did a chance to chase a national championship one last time. Count is 2-2 on Simmons. Fitzgerald brings it. Throw down to second.
Well, Matson started towards second.
Yeah.
Didn't get a good jump, and he retreated at the bag.
Fisher wasn't taking any chances, though. He saw the hitch out of the corner of his eye. There it is, and then whoop, hey, oh boy. Fisher, just to make sure, gunned it down to second. Meanwhile, full count on the All-American outfielder Simmons. And a throw over by Fitzgerald.
Yeah, Fitzgerald figures if he ran on 2-2 count, he's probably running here with the count 3-2.
And look at this, the sun comes out.
We saw it all day yesterday. It was a beautiful, pristine, cloud-free sky all day yesterday.
Ooh. Some oohs and ahs from the Catholic dugout. Nate thought Manson was a goner. You take a look. Got it back in. Cloud of dust. Simmons still waiting for the 3-2 offering. Laces it left field side. It'll push foul.
The runner did start on the 3-2 pitch.
The reset, and we do it again.
And Richter trying to get something going. Team down by 3 early. And a must-win game for the Pointers. Must-win game for both these teams.
Matson is lead at first. He goes. Simmons rips it for a base hit to right. Matson will go to third. Runners at the corners as Simmons delivers again.
Simmons had just one hit yesterday. Hoping to run with it, but he's 2 for 2 today. Another well-hit ball yanks this one to right. Again, with Matson running with the pitch, he easily makes it to third.
Yeah, pretty confident call by Nat Richter to send the runner with your All-American, handles the bat well. And the payoff, first and third with one out for Peyton Nelson. Nelson grounded out as he takes a strike. Grounded out in the first.
He's a senior from Wausau at 340 this year, at 364 a year ago, but he's a proven player. 48 RBIs this season, 50 a year ago, the team leader in that category. A run-producing potential right here.
Nelson sitting 0-1. Way outside. Fisher had to pounce to go get that one.
Superior has 9 guys who've 300 or better batting average.
Pull that one into the zone. No, sir. 2-1.
They're pretty adept at working counts. Fitzgerald's already thrown 48 pitches here early in the 3rd inning.
Sawed him off. Duke will camp, catch, come up throwing, and it'll be cut off. They'll let the run score from 3rd on the tag to make it 4-2.
And Nelson brings the runner in. 49th RBI of the year for Peyton. But again, to keep the double or the force in order, Duke throws the ball into second and allows Madsen to score without a challenge.
So Simmons alone at first, 2 down for Comer. Struck out to end the first frame. Way upstairs.
Comer's a .355 hitter coming into the tournament. 9 homers, 54 RBIs, so he's a home run threat.
Missing. 2-0.
Hitters count here for the senior from Rhinelander, Wisconsin.
Takes 3-0. And Stevens Point nibbling away at that deficit. The hits are even 4 apiece. They trail by 2.
Let's see if Nat Richter turns his cleanup hitter loose here in the 3-0 pitch. He takes.
3-1. He's too far off the bag.
He's second the team in stolen bases with 13. Hasn't been caught this year.
Fitzgerald needs a moment. Comer waving that bat. Simmons dancing off first. Inside and tight, ball 4. 2 aboard with 2 down. And the inning continues for the Pointers as Tomzak, the catcher, steps in. Chat time on the mound for Catholic U.
Pitching coach going out to visit with Fitzgerald. No activity in the bullpen for either team. This is just a wow Fitzgerald moment to roll. Maybe refocus on what's going on. If they've got any type of scouting report on Tomzak, it's got to be limited. Again, he didn't play yesterday.
Catcher, number 28,
Flew out the
Anthony
center in his
Tomzak.
only tournament AB back in the 2nd inning.
Opportunity awaits the catcher here with 2 on and 2 down.
Now they're going to activate the bullpen for Catholic.
Fitzgerald tosses a strike. That one misses, 1-1.
Cody Bozak is throwing in the bullpen, a freshman for the Cardinals.
Chopper foul. It scurried the Catholic dugout.
See defending champs from Salisbury's got in the building. I'll watch a little ball. They play Marietta, top seed in the tournament. The game scheduled to start around 1:15, 1:30.
Ball scoots away from Fisher. Runners advance to second and third.
Wild pitch enables the tying run to advance 90 feet. Now a single would bring in two and tie the game.
A run in, two available for the Pointers at second and third. 2-2 with two away. And Anthony Tomczak getting ready. Launches it to center. Duke, long run, but he will get there. Side retired. But the Pointers chipping away, get a run back. This game is now 4-2 Cardinals, middle of three.
Gain an inside look and behind-the-scenes access to your
lead as we head to the bottom. Cardinals will face a new hurler from Stevens Point, the left-hander Nick Carpenter.
Yeah, Casey Pickering's day lasted things and bullpen. Carpenter's a soft left-hander on the year, 3-1 with point RAs. This is his 18th appearance, 14th out of the bullpen. He's got a save. 41 in the third inning. He struck 299 against the left-hander.
And there's a 4-2 contest to the face Nardi, the right fielder. Nardi singled on first inning. And Tesorio went yard.
Pickering allowed 4 runs, 4 hits, struck out 2 in 2 innings of work. Walked a hitter as well.
Shallow left. Bauman makes the grab, one away. And now Giambetti, the designated hitter. He also singled in that first inning. Set the table for that 3-run bomb.
Giambetti checking with Nardi to talk about
designated hitter number
what he learned from
Peter Giambetti.
Carpenter stuff.
Liner, Matson tried to glove it, and then Bauman has problems in left. Hot smash that the shortstop, that was a tough chance for him, but then Bauman misplayed it.
It should be a hit and an error. As you say, it's a sizzling line drive past the shortstop, and then Bauman misplays it and gives Giambetti an extra base.
32, Matt Tessariero.
And that is the call, Bill. Fifth hit now for Catholic. E7 puts him at second base with one away. Tesorio now, 3-run jack in the first for Matt. After the first pitch, Matson can handle this one. And bounces it at first. Runner's going to be safe. Henwood tried to scoop it, but the throw was in the dirt.
Matson's been a little deficient defensively this year. Played well here, but that's his 29th error of the season. And E6 allows runners to be at first and second with one out here in the third.
So 2 E's in the frame. Malave the batter. See if that comes back to bite the Pointers. Just one out. Floater there for strike one. Malave flew out to left his first AB. That ended the first inning.
And the radar gun is not turned on for the fans to see here, but that pitch couldn't have been 70 miles an hour.
Tomczak tried to yank that ball back into the strike zone. Can't do it. 1-1. Time called by Lucas. Catholic U threatening again here in the bottom half of the third. To left, Bauman gets there, 2 away. And now Duke will be the batter. So Stevens Point trying to get around the 2 errors in the inning, but get out of here unscathed.
Carpenter's done his job. He's come in and thrown strikes. 6 of his 7 pitches have been for strikes, and again, he's been betrayed by his defense. Should be out of the inning.
Chance to get there if they can get Billy Duke. Nice pitch there.
This guy's a soft tosser to be sure, but he's thrown strikes.
Missed there, 1-1.
That's his fastball. It just showed Duke what he's got.
Giambetti at second, Tesorio at first. And Duke. Foul ball, count is 1-2. Pointers looking to post a 0 on the Catholic line for the first time today. They got 3 in the first and 1 in the second. They're threatening here in the third. Carpenter sets up shop. The 1-2 on the way. Oppo for a base hit. They'll wave Giambetti home. Throw is cut off. Throw to the plate. Gets away from Tomczak on a collision at the plate.
Third error of the inning means a run for Catholic because Giambetti was going to be a dead duck at the plate. The relay throw by Comer was right on, and Tomczak just didn't catch it. I would think it's going to be an error too, but it allows the run to score and the runners to move up. Dukes at second, Osorio's at third, and Catholic has regained its 3-run lead.
You saw Giambetti after the collision. He made sure he took the hand and slapped home plate. Home plate umpire said, "Yep, you got there, young man." And it's 5-2.
3 errors in the inning for Stevens Point.
Here's Fisher, the catcher.
They give the error to the third baseman Comer, but boy, I didn't think the throw was offline. Tomczak's got to make that play. The score says the third baseman gets the error, but boy. Anyway, 3 errors in the inning. You can't do that in the NCAA tournament. Expect to win, no matter how many hits you can collect.
And you may have overheard it, but if not, Duke gets the single, but no RBI on the play. But they'll still take the run. It's 5-2 now. Back to a 3.3 run cushion, I beg your pardon. Fisher has a chance here to knock in 2 more. He's sitting 1-2. Stays alive. So Tesorio's now at third and Duke's at second.
And Fisher can definitely make him pay for Stevens Point handing them 2 extra outs.
One, two. Ooh. Didn't get it. 2-2. Carpenter came in tight that time. Inside, Fisher tried to pull the hands in. We do it again. Runners lead at second and third. A run in. Catholic looking for more, and they will get more. 2 more runs in as Fisher delivers. 7-2. The Cardinals.
2 out hits are killers. Psychologically, that just really hurts Stevens Point. Fisher with a clutch hit goes right up the middle, well hit ball. Nelson charged and got in a strong throw, but it was cut off, and with 2 outs, the runners are off to the races anyway. And again, you probably can't have enough runs against Stevens Point, but it's now 7-2 here in the third inning. I like one of these teams to make double digits.
Oh, it's trending that way, my friend. Tig Watson's turn. And again, dial back to the play at the plate. If the throw's on target, there is no third error in the inning. The tag's applied. You get out of the inning without giving up a run.
Well, you can go back even further. I mean, the error in left field, Giambetti it's a single, and the next ball, the shortstop's a double play ball.
Yeah.
Instead, I mean, the inning ends there, but
And then
wanna-
Matt's in the air. Yeah, it's
if you want to play that, and they've just given him 3 extra outs, or 2 extra outs, I should say. But this sloppy defensive work.
yeah. And then your point added as well. Then the big 2-out hit there. But you keep giving an opponent chances like that, they'll come back and they'll say thank you very much for the opportunity. Watson doubled his last time up. Drove in Fisher with run number 4 in the second inning. He's sitting 2-2 with 2 away.
Bullpen active once again for Stevens Point. Carpenter deserves a better fate, though.
There's another hit. Watson didn't try to do too much, just found a little hole on the right side and squirts it there. The inning continues.
Again, the number 9 hole hitter goes the other way. This ball's not hit hard, but as they say, hit them where they ain't. Catholic's got another hit in the inning, their 4th, to go with the 3 errors. And now they flip the lineup card over, and Posey hits for the 3rd time in 3 innings. Tomzak to the mound. This may be to buy time for the relief pitcher in the bullpen. And that gentleman throwing down the line is Sidney Ferry, their bullpen ace. We haven't seen him yet because basically Point's been behind the whole tournament.
Guess what?
Yeah, we're going to get to see him now. Sidney Ferry will come in the game. He's got some impressive numbers. We'll give them to you in a bit.
7-2 our score. The 3rd inning continues here in Cedar Rapids. Well, there's a cool shot from our drone pilot, Alec. Field prep here in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah, that was after they pulled the tarp.
Right.
That wasn't real dramatic watching them pull the tarp, so that's kind of a cool shot.
I'm getting a little nauseous. 3rd pitcher. Stevens Point might be getting a little nauseous, a little worrisome. They're down 7-2, so the 3rd pitcher, they go to their closer, Bill.
Yeah, I guess you figure it's a high leverage situation to be sure. You got to stop the bleeding and give your big bats a chance to get you back in the game. So Nat Richter brings in Sidney Ferry as closer in the 3rd inning. We'll give you his numbers after his first pitch. Ferry 5-0 in the year with a 1.89 ERA. This is his 19th appearance. He's got 6 saves, 33 1/3 innings he's allowed, but 26 hits, 7 earned runs. He's walked 4, struck out 43. Opponents have hit just 203 against Sidney Ferry out of Paw Paw, Michigan.
Homeschooled as well.
Been to Paw Paw?
Never.
Nor I.
Couldn't tell you where it is.
No, I can't either, but it will give me something to do between innings.
Right.
Sidney's a sophomore, best relief pitcher in the Wisconsin Intercollegiate Athletics Conference this year.
Lace to right, but foul. And you said before he came in, it's do or die, and this is an unusual situation to bring Ferry in the 3rd inning, but it's necessary now. Don't want to get this deficit too far out of hand. The bats for Stevens Point, we've said it many times, they can rally back. But they need Ferry to close the door here. Already trailing by 5.
Ferry's strikeout to walk ratio of 3.27 is 11th best in the country.
Posey waiting for the offering from Ferry. 1-2, gets out of the way. Strikeout in the first for Posey, ground out in the second. Here he is, third AB in the third. And ducks in the pond for him with 2 away. Pokes it to right. And Henwood makes the catch, basket style. Inning finally over for Stevens Point. Catholic, another multiple run inning. 3 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 more here in the third. They're up 7-2. Well, the Cardinals extend their lead here as we go to the 4th inning. Now up 7-2 on Stevens Point.
Well, because we're here to inform and entertain,
Please do.
our education continues to tell you that Paw Paw, Michigan, the home of Sidney Ferry, the pride of Paw Paw, is a town of 3,534 in the state of Michigan, right near Kalamazoo.
Leading off the top of the 4th inning for the Pointers.
County seat of Van Buren County.
Number 34, Lucas Lutke.
And all of Paw Paw is proud of Ferry for putting down the rally in the 3rd inning and giving his team a chance to swing the bats.
They'll need to do just that. Trailing by 5 now. Fitzgerald back to work here with that cushion. This is Ludke, the designated hitter, doubled in the 2nd inning. Nothing came of it.
Because I've got my educator hat on, I should tell you that UW Stevens Point is located in Stevens Point, Wisconsin.
Really?
You know that because you're a Wisconsin native.
Oh, it could have been Plover.
I'm looking at the broader audience.
Oh,
here.
okay.
8,697 people are enrolled at Wisconsin Stevens Point. Stevens Point is the home of the world's largest trivia contest. Did you know that? According to
Is that a trick question? Because that sounds like a trivia question.
I
It's
read
a
that.
question within a question.
I read that on the website.
Really?
The world's largest trivia contest hosted by UW Stevens Point's WWSP radio station. I think my hockey radio partner, Brian Posick, started, our TV partner.
Yeah, no doubt. That seems like a Posick move.
Yeah, he started at WWSP.
Are you pulling my leg?
I'm trying to educate you.
Here's Quinn Henwood.
The oldest farmers market in the state of Wisconsin is in Stevens Point.
Okay.
This is Quinn Haywood, by the way. And Century Golf Course, which you probably are familiar with.
Yes, Century World.
Yeah. They're going to host the 2023 U.S. Senior Open, and they'll be happy to host Bob too if he plunks down about $150 to play.
Yep.
Beautiful course, though.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Flower beds everywhere. It's one of the finest in the land. Henwood grounded out his first time up. Fouls this one, a screamer into the netting.
Some famous alums from Wisconsin Stevens Point. You probably got some of your own, so go ahead.
Well, Jordan Zimmerman, of course, a star baseball player.
Yeah, played for the Washington Nationals, an all-star, no-hitter. Played in this tournament.
Peel, no dice there.
J.P. Fireheisen's currently in the big leagues with Tampa Bay.
Bay.
He got put in the injured list yesterday with a bad shoulder impingement. He's having a big year, though. It's too bad. J.P. played for Pat Bloom, as did Zimmerman.
Pat Bloom, the coach at Wash U. Back-to-back Ks for Fitzgerald. Boy, new life for the right-hander. He gets that 5-run lead, and he goes back to work on the hill.
Yeah, he looks like he's got some renewed energy now with a 5-run lead, and ties Henwood up with that fastball.
I think the message might have been, look, guys, nice that we have this 7-2 lead, but these guys can hit, so don't let off the gas pedal. 2 up and 2 down for Jacob Boos. And A strike.
Other former Pointer alums.
Alums, yes.
Melvin Laird, the former Defense Secretary of the U.S. Lawrence Eagleberger, former U.S. Secretary of State. Ryan Ramczyk, currently tackle, making a lot of money. I think he's one of the higher paid NFL offensive tackles. Ryan Ramczyk went to Stevens Point.
With, New Orleans?
Yeah.
New Orleans.
Yeah. Kathy Bennett, coached basketball, women's basketball at Indiana. Her dad, Dick Bennett, I think was listed as a former faculty member. Dick Bennett, of course, led Wisconsin to the Final Four a few years back.
Just missing 1 and 2. In fact, Dick Bennett, his brother Jack, coached basketball at Stevens Point, won national championships. The court at Stevens Point is Quant Fieldhouse, and they named the court Bennett Court after both Jack and Dick. Look at this. Ludke, Henwood, Booz down on strikes. Fitzgerald locked and loaded to strike out the side in the top of the 4th.
I just wanted to get good grades and to do well.
4th here in Cedar Rapids, 7-2 our score. The Catholic University Cardinals in front. Stevens Point, they could sure use an inning like the one that Catholic just had from Fitzgerald. They need a shutdown inning. They have given up runs in all 3 innings so far. And Zach Burton will lead it off. Ferry's the 3rd pitcher of the morning for Stevens Point.
7 runs, 8 hits, no errors for Catholic. 2 runs, 4 hits, 3 errors for Stevens Point.
Burton pushes it foul. Burton's the number 2 hitter. Nardi will follow, then Giambetti, the cleanup man. Tapper foul. Are you going to do Catholic University alums?
You know, I can.
I mean, just because make this the alum inning here, right?
Okay. Well, Catholic is an enrollment of 3,196 students.
Another base hit. Burton. Leadoff single here in the 4th. Go, Bill.
Hit parade continues now, this time against Ferry, Pointer's best relief pitcher. Catholic was founded in 1887. It's a private research school and the only institution of higher learning founded by the U.S. Catholic bishops. So, not surprisingly, they have a lot of distinguished alums located in Washington, D.C. I think you've pointed that out. They have 19 current Cardinals. Not St. Louis Cardinals.
Not the bird.
No, but
right.
Cardinals who are alums.
Climbing the ladder, Booz to get that little soft liner, 1 away.
Including Timothy Dolan, who's the Archbishop of Milwaukee. You probably were hanging with him when Archbishop Dolan was
at
in
time.
Milwaukee.
Yeah.
He's now Cardinal Dolan of New York and probably one of the leaders of the Catholic Church in this country. Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, is an alum of Catholic. Of course, the most famous baseball alum, Brian Cashman, the Yankees GM, played for Coach Ross Natoli back in 1986. Brian Cashman, he's probably watching. But he's an alum of Catholic. So is Frank Conley, the president of the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is Peter Giambetti, their All-American outfielder, who's had a big day, 2 for 2.
And he's up there with 1 away. And we told the story yesterday of Tim Kirchin, the ESPN baseball writer and analyst. And he wrote a terrific article. You can go and find it. Giambetti launches it right center field. Catch made by Nelson, 2 down. And it's a terrific article. Wrote it in honor of his brother, who is going through ALS, diagnosed with ALS, and this Catholic squad, because his brother played baseball back in the day, was a really good player. So they have brought him back into the fold and a support mechanism. The entire school, the baseball organization at Catholic. Just dial up Tim Kirchen, you can read all about it. Fascinating article. This is Tesorio. 3-run home run, got this offense juiced and ready to go here this morning. This one, force play at second, side retired. There's the inning that we mentioned Stevens Point needed. A 0 for the first time on the board, on the line for Catholic, but they still lead at 7-2.
The D3 way is focused on improving the behavior.
Moving right along to the 5th inning now, and Stevens Point trying to go back to work with their bats, get back into this one, trailing by 5. Matson, number 9 here, then top of the order, and Fitzgerald. Boy, what an inning he had in the 4th. Struck out the side.
Fitzgerald certainly done a nice job. Again, he's just a sophomore from Annandale, Virginia. It's the ball in the biggest game of the year. Again, Tucker Alch, who's been their ace all year, not available in this tournament because of an elbow problem. Jack Safiro got the ball yesterday. Gave up 3 runs in 3 innings, but Fitzgerald starting his 5th inning here as a starter in a game that they have to have.
Matson takes strike 1. Singleton scored the Pointers' 2nd run back in the 3rd inning. Inside, 1-1.
The winner of this game plays tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Central Time. The loser goes home.
We noted yesterday that Salisbury, who won the whole kit and caboodle in 2021, they went undefeated. Not easy to do. It hasn't been done that often since they set up this pool play. But the goals were locked in, and it just kept running the table all the way to a national championship. And they're back to defend it.
Marietta will play the next game against Salisbury. He's won 9 in a row currently. Eastern Connecticut will play the late game tonight. They're 45-3 in the year. They've won 19 in a row. East Connecticut State will play LaGrange in the final games of this second day.
Glove by Watson. Throw. Bounces away. Watson was hustling down the line. I think he beats it anyway.
Yeah, it's getting an infield hit.
We'll give him a single.
Cody Bozek is throwing in the Catholic bullpen. He was out there earlier in the game.
Left fielder number 5, Matt Bauman.
Started the start of this inning, so Coach Natoli might think that his starter may be reaching the limit.
It is a base hit. Matson's aboard. Now Bauman, the leadoff man. 0 for 2 with a pair of fly ball outs. Outside, 1-0.
It'll be the 3rd time through the order for Fitzgerald against the free swinging Pointers.
Bauman sitting 1-0. Fitzgerald brings it, pops away from Fisher, and down to second goes Matson.
Good piece of base running by Matson, who had a good secondary lead. And when the ball scooted away from Fisher, he took the extra base. That might be a pass ball. I don't think we've heard from the voice behind us on the ruling.
Yeah. Comes out of the ceiling tiles. Bauman sitting 2-0. Make it 3-0. This is what Point can do. They can chip away, and before you know it, you blink and they've slapped a crooked number on the board, and it's game on.
Fitzgerald up to 82 pitches.
And it's ball 4. Is this the beginning of a big inning? We shall see. First 2 men aboard. And here comes Simmons.
Right fielder, number 1, Aaron Simmons.
Started off the festivities this morning with a solo home run.
And that may be the end of Fitzgerald's day. I don't know if Ross Natoli wants Fitzgerald to have another crack at Simmons, who's handled him pretty well today.
There's your bullpen buzzing.
That's Bozick.
And there's your baseball handed off to the head coach. And there's your pitching change about to happen here in Cedar Rapids. We'll step aside. Top of 5. Stevens Point trying to chip away at the 5-run deficit. Division III College World Series young man. Freshman right-hander Cody Bozak joins the party.
He's not the biggest of guys, 5'10", 165 pounds. He's out of Woodbridge, Virginia. The young fellow's 3-2 in his freshman year with a .671 earned run average. This is his 17th appearance, his 9th out of the bullpen. He's thrown 53 2/3 innings and allowed 71 hits, 40 earned runs, walked 15, struck out 46. Opponents have hit 316 against Bozick, who inherits 2 runners and nobody out here in the 5th inning.
And second-team All-American Aaron Simmons, the batter, with 2 aboard and nobody out. Takes the ball. You know Simmons would relish in putting one out of here again, changing the whole complexity of this baseball game. Nardi is appropriately deep in right field.
Hitters count here for Simmons.
Strike. Simmons thought about it. Single and a walk. Chase the starting pitcher, Fitzgerald. Bozak inherits those runners. And he's also got to face one tough customer in Simmons, sitting 1-2, or rather 2-1. Upstairs, 3-1. Bozak brings it, but it's low. The bases are loaded with pointers. Here we go. Nobody out, trailing by 5. Opportunity to get back in it.
But for all we talk about
Center fielder, number 25.
their ability to rake, it's been an infield single and 2 walks that have loaded the bases here. And again, self-inflicted wounds by the pitching staff for Catholic with a 5-run lead, putting base runners out there.
Now we'll see if Peyton Nelson can indeed rake and Get the merry-go-round moving. Ball 1 to him. Straight up and out of play. Nelson's last AB in the third. He delivered a sac fly RBI. He can do that again here, but he's looking for more. Outfield shifted over to left. Big gap in right center, and right field completely open if he can get it there. There you see. But they're playing Nelson to pull. Peyton, 1-1. Scoots out of the way. Almost grazed him.
Good pitch, though. Got to pitch it, be able to pitch inside if you want to be successful. And Nelson's right up on the plate. Nelson's been hit 17 times right up on the plate.
Smash to third. Tag the runner. Throw to first, not in time. To Sorio. He thought for a moment to go and step on the bag at third, and now was there interference? Conference time with the men in blue.
Well, here it is. Cesario chases the runner down. I'm not sure what they're challenging here, but we're going to get a challenge. The run scores, by the way.
Right. So it's 7-3.
Well, I think he's saying he missed the tag because Bauman's still standing on third base. I assume that is the challenge. Nat Richter had a good view of it as the third base coach. So he told Bauman to stand pat. He must be saying he didn't tag him. The run is scored. It's 7-3. Here it is. Like you said, I think there was some indecision to tag the bag or tag the runner. But to me, he goes out of the baseline to avoid the tag.
Right.
So I think this will be an unsuccessful challenge. Ross Natoli coming out to talk to the plate umpire wants to know what this is about too. But the
Justin Sims is the third base umpire, and you could see him in the shot. He points and says, "Out there on the tag."
Anyway, they're now underneath the ballpark going over the monitors on the challenge by Stevens Point, the first challenge they've used in this tournament, first challenge we've seen today. I may be wrong, but I don't know what else they'd be challenging. Again, the fact that the base runner is standing on third means that Richter feels he missed the tag.
Yeah, they haven't recorded the out on the scoreboard here, but they have posted the run.
Well, the run's going to score no matter what the outcome of the challenge is. As Madsen ran in third uncontested.
But you're right, it had to be contested by Stevens Point, challenged by Stevens Point, because really wasn't any indication from the Cardinals dugout. In fact, they're looking out at the umpires, and the staff has their hands out saying, "What's going on?"
Again, if he didn't tag him, I think the base runner was out of the baseline.
Yeah, there's that then too. So it might be a wash. It might be, yes, no tag was applied, but he's out of the baseline.
Here it is
so
again. This is Bauman coming to third. It's Cesario. Did he tag him? As you can see, but Bauman ends up in the infield grass to avoid the tag.
And watch the third base umpire. He says out. From his vantage point, he saw the glove hit a body part.
That's what they're challenging.
Yeah.
It's Nat Richter, the point coach right next to the umpire. The decision has been determined, and we're waiting for the men in blue to come back in the field. Well, door had opened as if we were awaiting the return.
Maybe we're waiting for a puff of smoke from out there. So nothing to see when it's all said and done. The tag's applied. The run does score. It's 7-3. Runners will be at first and second for Stevens Point with one away.
Again, there's got to be evidence that the call on the field was wrong. I don't know if from what we saw there was that evidence that he missed the tag. Anyway, there's an out, a run scored. There's runners on first and second with one out. Cleanup hitter up for Stevens Point. He's still have potential for a big inning.
So Matson scores. Bauman tagged out going to third. Simmons is now at second. Nelson's at first. Comer goes after the first pitch. And is it caught? It is caught by Duke. No, the umpires say no catch. Now the force at second will register an out, and Nat Richter is irate. He wanted to know why the call wasn't made right away. Second base umpire Mike Griffin waited until the ball came in and then signaled no catch.
Well, Richter is high. But I don't know what he's going to do here. I don't think he's got any recourse to. Umpires are going to confer, but
Simmons held the bag at second, looking out, and thought the catch was made.
well, he ended up on third base. The force was at second to retire Nelson.
And here we go. One pitch later, back underneath.
Well, once he challenged it, I mean, the ball, if he doesn't catch the ball, which I guess is the determination, it's a wonderful play by Duke to get there, but he doesn't maintain possession. They determine that's a trap? Is that what the...
That was the signal, but the signal was late. Duke shows it to him, says, I have the baseball, and claims that he caught it. But the signal was second base umpire.
Well, yeah, let's watch the second base umpire, because I think that confuses, the signal by the umpire is what confuses the base runners.
And Simmons goes back to second, then goes to third as the ball comes in. And the toss there would get the force, and the umpire says yes, out on the force at second.
8-6-4, I think, is how the play right now stands on the force out, with Simmons going to third and Comer staying at first.
And Comer would, well, no. Comer was out if it was a catch.
Right.
And then, but if they say no catch, then he's at first, and Nelson would have been erased on the force with Simmons at third. You got all that, folks?
Cormac Terry talking to Nat Richter about what's going on. I mean, it was not a shining moment for the umpire, quite frankly, because, I mean, the base runners are in no man's land. They're trying to figure out, is it a catch? Is it not? Do they tag up? Do they not?
Yeah, Comer's at first saying, well, I should be here.
So right now, the way it stands, Simmons is at third, Comer is at first, and there's two out. Here it is again.
That looks like a catch.
But I think I agree. And is it, I don't see how it benefits Stevens Point to challenge this if it's not a catch. I mean,
now is there a bounce
personally,
from that one?
I think it's a trap, but again, I don't see how Point benefits by challenging the play. I mean, what is the optimum play for the Pointers?
And if you do, you're out of challenges.
Right. So I don't Richter was upset, and I can see why, because the umpires certainly misled his base runners. It was, again, not a shining moment in umpiring, but what are you trying to accomplish with the challenge? Bobby's shaking his head. So.
Yeah. Well, we'll just let it all play out. You see a lot of shrugs, a lot of arms extended from players and coaches. They're not sure. There was a lot of traffic, a lot going on.
That's Comer talking to his first base coach, Travis James. And there's the world's largest, tallest pitching coach, isn't he?
Indeed.
And the pitcher on the mound's doing push-ups.
Pozak, yeah. Stay loose, young man.
Yeah, he's biding his time by doing push-ups to the side of the mound. I don't think I've ever seen that. Push-up display is now over.
Watch this. Our guys caught it.
Yep.
44 says, you know what? If I can't throw, claps in between, too. Impressive.
Yep. I've never seen that.
A spry freshman.
I believe the
Here we
challenge
go.
has been determined whether it's correct or not, and so it's deemed to be a catch, right?
No. Okay, when he signals the second out on the force, is that what that means?
Both coaches are now getting an explanation from the umpires. We were promised one from the replay booth coordinator yesterday, and I'd love to see him today. Anyway, the runners are going to be at first and third. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be a force. I think technically 8-6-4 on the force. Runners on the corners, 2 out.
The catcher.
And so Comer gets a single.
No, it's a fielder's choice, 8-6-4. He reaches on a force.
You're correct, yeah. Okay. Tom Zach is the catcher.
So anyway, now Tom Zach needs a 2-out hit to bring in the run.
And the ball squirts away. Okay.
Again, I don't understand why you waste a challenge on that. I don't know, in a perfect world, what Point thought they were going to gain by a challenge. Other than to change in the scorebook.
Left field. Is there enough? Yes, it's gone! We told you they can rake, and Tom Zach does just that. A 3-run home run. Game on. Stevens Point down 7-6.
4th home run of the year for the freshman catcher. Maybe Bozic got worn out with all those push-ups. Here comes the gopher ball to Tom Zach, and there is no doubt about that one. Well over the left field fence. He knew it. Bozic knew it. We got a 1-run game.
That was the only question. Is there enough to get up over the double wall and left? And he did. He got it up in the jet stream and got it out of here. 4-run frame for Point. After back-to-back replay reviews, they put aside all the drama and make this a ball game again. Ludke now. Strike to him, 1-1.
In all seriousness, I don't think the push-ups had anything to do with it, but all the standing around time could not have benefited this young freshman pitcher, who's victimized by a freshman catcher.
Duke will get this one. Glove it, side retired. But the Pointers right back in the ball game. A 4-burger in the top of the 5th to make this 7-6 Catholic. Well, if you were the Catholic Cardinals and you settled in and thought, you're in the driver's seat now, guess again. Stevens Point providing a headache of a top of the 5th inning. Right back in this one, down 7-6.
And Point still has a relief ace in. They brought him in very early in a high leverage situation, but Sidney Ferry now pitching in a 1-run game. Guess it's a question of how long he can go.
59, Lucas Malabi.
Lucas Malabi will be the first batter Ferry faces in the 5th.
Game on here in Iowa. Bottom of 5. Malave 0 for 2 with a pair of fly balls, both of them to left field.
Ferry starts with a breaking pitch, which has been his best pitch. It was in the upper 80s, but his breaking ball is what his bread and butter. And his competitive nature. He's had a big year. I mean, he's the best relief pitcher in the WIAC, to be sure. Second team all-region.
To right, and it falls for a base hit. Malavi aboard to kickstart the 5th. See if the Cardinals can get the offense back into gear. They had their lone 0 back in the 4th inning. Before that, 3-1-3. And now Duke's turn at the plate.
Talk a lot about Stevens' points hitters. Catholic averages 8.7 runs a game. They were certainly silenced yesterday by Trent Valentine and Sam Matthews of Marietta, but they've come out swinging today. Already double-digit hits.
Duke singled and scored his last AB in the 3rd inning.
He has not laid down a bunt successfully this year. Comer in at 3rd, though, thinks he's going to be bunting here. Malavi drawing attention from Ferry at 1st.
That's a get out of the way bunt attempt.
I guess you're not surprised that Duke hasn't laid down
Yeah,
a sacrifice hit.
Not at all. Didn't look comfy there. He's been busy in center field, to say the least.
Yes, he has.
One on the way from Ferry. Squares again, drops it down. Ooh, pretty good. Gets the job done.
Very good bunt. My apologies to Billy Duke. Small ball is successful for Catholic.
Malave down at 2nd, brings up Fisher, the catcher.
Number 9, Matthew Fisher.
Drove in a pair his last time up in the 3rd. Floater from Ferry. Just missed, 1-0.
Fisher had a big 2-out single in the 3rd. Drove in 2 runs and a 3-run frame for the Cardinals.
That one's in the other batter's box, 2-0.
Catholic U has activity in its bullpen. Lucky Parado, another freshman throwing in the bullpen for Catholic University. You know anybody named Lucky?
I do. They've also have a Chance on their team. They have Lucky and Chance, so it's good names to have on a baseball roster. Here's ball 4 to Fisher. So 2 aboard with 1 away, and Watson, number 9 here, Bill, he's had himself a day at the plate already.
Yeah, out of the 9 hole, it's a run-scoring double back in the 2nd. He was in the middle of the 3-run inning in the 3rd with a single. Just take that, all you detractors of people in the 9-hole hitters.
What a bonus when your number 9 guy is having a day at the plate. He's back up there. Another opportunity here. 2 aboard with 1 down. See if T can come through for a third time. Tig drops it down. Back to the pitcher. Looked at second. Goes to first. So Tig's gonna set the table here for Posey at the top of the heap with 2 away.
And that, folks, is something you won't see in MLB all season.
Never.
2 sacrifices in 1 inning.
But Posey says, thank you, number 3. I'll try to inflict some damage here with 2 away. Dante, nothing in 3 trips so far. Takes strike 1.
Posey's had a tough tournament. He's 0 for 7 in the 2 tournament games. And everybody forget that with a 2-out hit here.
Sitting 1-1. Olave's at third, Fisher at second. There's a strike from Ferry. Gets ahead 1-2.
Posey's driven in 26 runs in the year.
Ferry trying to get out of this jam. Keep this a 1-run contest. And he does. Big punch out there. Tomczak is catcher who homered. To get him closer, slams the baseball back to the hill. Stevens Point back to work at the plate. Trailing by 1 after 5.
College has given me the flexibility to pursue my passions and my interests, and I've recreated my identity for myself aside from just being an athlete.
My greatest personal discovery has
Where we are.
Division III has helped me to develop
I'm
teamwork
not
skills,
downtown.
critical
No.
thinking skills, time
Overall,
management
we're-
skills.
It's not
We're
just
in
about
the,
basketball, it's not just about
you
school,
get
it's
the
about
picture.
developing
That's
yourself
downtown
as a
Cedar
person.
Rapids, Iowa.
Yep.
126,000 people live here.
Here. That's where we are.
Yeah, we are by where the flag is.
That's right.
That's downtown in perspective to where we are. Over the fence, about 10 minutes away by car.
Over the river, through the woods.
Yeah.
Right.
Literally over the Cedar River.
Lucky Parado comes in to pitch now for Catholic U here in the top of the 6th inning. His team clinging to a 1-run lead.
Lucky Parado is a 5'8", 195-pound freshman out of Ocean Township, New Jersey.
Now pitching for the Cardinals.
Lucky's
number
3-0 with a
18,
.611 earned run average this year in 14 appearances.
Leading off the first
They've all been
baseman,
out of the
number 37,
bullpen. He's thrown 17 2/3 innings, allowed 18 hits, 12 earned runs. He's walked 11, struck out 17. Command apparently is an issue for Lucky. And opponents have hit .257 against him, and he hit one of the opponents.
Yeah, not very lucky to start this affair. Tying runs aboard for Stevens Point here in the 6th.
The second baseman, number 22, Jacob Booth.
The game has changed once again. It's tilting. Momentum is tilting in favor of the Pointers. Quinn Henwood now. Lefty on lefty, takes a strike. Henwood's line. Or rather, Boo's, I beg your pardon. Boo's line 0 for 2, a ground out and a strikeout. With Henwood at first. Jacob sitting 0-2. And doesn't matter. Base hit on an 0-2 pitch. Here's your tying run and your go-ahead run. Aboard with nobody out.
Toronto gets his pitch up, and Booz says thank you very much and lines it into center. And Pointers have something going again.
The
See if
shortstop,
Logan
number
Matson,
4,
the number
Logan
9 hole hitter, sacrifices, or if they play for the big inning.
He's 2 for 2.
Matt Richter not a believer in small ball. They only have 15 sacrifice hits all year. Madsen has 7 of them, though. Third baseman doesn't think they're going to bunt. He's even with the bag.
Yeah, Madsen singled twice, scored both times.
Burton in on the grass at first on creeping in.
Oh, he got hit. Lucky has been anything but since coming on the pitch. The bases are loaded with pointers.
Colorado's now hit 6 hitters in 17 and 2/3 innings. Comes the pitching coach to try to settle the freshman down.
Boy, this game script is about to flip. Bases loaded for Stevens Point and nobody out. And top of the order, Bauman going to step to the dish. Simmons behind him.
This visit not only is to settle the freshman down, but to allow the bullpen to get started. Brendan Martin is throwing in earnest for Catholic University.
Number 5, Matt Bauman.
And ironically, the guy that they love to have used in this game or yesterday's game, Tucker Alch, is down in the bullpen just giving moral support. Again, Tucker's a potential MLB draft, won 10 games for him, but he's unavailable because of an elbow problem, and he's in civvies in the bullpen.
And it's got to be chewing away at him right now watching this. The lead perhaps slipping away from Catholic. 1-0 to Bauman. There's a strike, needed it. All-American outfielder Aaron Simmons licking his chops, waiting on deck. Bauman a bouncer to short. Watson to second. Cloud of dust, not in time. Game is tied.
Give Bauman an RBI and the fielder's choice. Watson goes in the hole, waited for a bounce, and by the time he got it, the throw to second was late. Give Madsen a lot of credit for getting down the line in a hurry and beating this throw. So the base is still loaded. Bauman drives in a run and ties the game as Henwood scores.
How about this? 7-7. Base is loaded for Simmons.
Infield still back.
And a strike to Aaron, who went yard in the first.
Catholic U wants to stay away from the big inning. They love a double play ball. They play Simmons to pull, and rightly so.
Just missing, 1-1.
Second baseman Posey back in the outfield grass.
Spiked up there, 2-1.
Good job by Fisher to keep it in front of him and prevent the runner from scoring from third.
This has been Stevens Point baseball. We've mentioned it several times, but this is nothing new to these guys. Three and 1 to Simmons. No place to put him. Parado. Ball 4. Stevens Point leads 8-7. Simmons will gladly take the free ribby. The walk down to first as Booz scores.
That's going to be all for Lucky Parado, who didn't throw many strikes. In fact, he only threw 11 pitches, 7 of which were balls. 13 pitches, 7 of which were balls. And Martin will come in with the bases loaded and still nobody out here in the 6th.
And we have a new leader on the scoreboard. It's Stevens Point up 8-7. Catholic led this contest, most of this contest until now. But because of it, their 4th pitcher comes in to pitch here, trying to get out of this jam, and trailing 8-7 now is Catholic U.
Point looking at a big inning here. Meat of the order coming up, bases still loaded. We're going to see new pitcher Brendan Martin, who's 3-1 with a 6.75 ERA. This is his 17th appearance, all out of the bullpen. He's got 3 saves. Martin has thrown 21 in the 3rd innings, allowed 22 hits, 16 earned runs, walked 13, struck out 20. Opponents have hit 265 against Brendan Martin.
Peyton Nelson. He'll try to extend this lead that Point has. They had it in the 1st inning on the Simmons home run, and then it was all Catholic until 4 in the 5th and 2 more here in the 6th. Two and 0. Launch to left. Malave over his head. Everyone on their horse. 2 runs in for the Pointers. 2-run double for Nelson. And Stevens Point opening it up here in the 6th.
Well, the bats have come alive for Stevens Point. Peyton Nelson with a ringing double over Malave's head. This one kept carrying. It's not a factor today, so that ball just had some juice. Point's had a lot of juice the last 2 innings.
A 4-run frame after the 4-run 5th inning. 4 and counting. Here's Comer as Fisher has to go into block mode, save another run.
Yeah, that was a real nice scoop by Fisher there.
10-7 on 8 hits.
Peyton Nelson now has 4 RBIs today.
Fisher again backhanding this time. Martin, you saw him after that pitch, shaking his head. Infield in again. Three and 0. Another one of those loads him up again for Tomczak, who, oh, by the way, has already gone yard today.
Infield in for Catholic U.
And it's ball 4. Bases loaded for the catcher.
Still nobody out. Bullpen, you've heard this before. Bullpen active for Catholic U.
It was Tomczak's 3-run jack that helped get this comeback cobbled together with that 4-run 5th. Now he can help really extend this lead in the 6th.
That's the Catholic University bullpen.
Another ball. Martin can't find the zone.
And he's had success this year.
Straight up the elevator shaft. Who wants it? Tesorio calls everybody off. 1 away. That's the problem for the Cardinals. Just 1 out. Now Ludke, the designated hitter. 9th man to bat here in the frame. Got a double in 3 trips. Lucas, boy, he went after that first pitch. Henwood is on deck. He started all of this, got hit by a pitch, if you recall. And Booz then singled, and Matson got hit by a pitch, and it was off to the races. Little tapper foul. So still life for Ludke. Still an opportunity for the designated hitter with the bases loaded. Do some more serious damage here in the 6th.
Burton in on the grass at first. Otherwise, infield's back looking for a double play grounder to get out of this mess.
And it just got messier. Make it 11-7.
Well, the wild pitch brings in Simmons. And the double play is now gone. You would think the infield would come in for the Cardinals. They will.
Well, mess is a accurate word as far as Catholic is concerned. Swing and a miss. That's out number 2.
And certainly a huge strikeout for Brendan Martin. Now the infield can
First
repeat
baseman,
the
number 37,
conventional
Henwood.
depth.
And Quinn Henwood for the 2nd time in the inning. And again, he got plunked. Seemed innocent enough at the time. You know, new pitcher, just trying to get his bearings. But, oh, that was just the beginning of this explosion by Stevens Point. The 1-0. Strike 1-1. Bouncing ball to short. Watson handles it. Side retired. But tally it up. 10 men to the plate for the Pointers. 5 runs on the board. And they lead this game for the moment. 11-7, middle of 6. That's behind the center field scoreboard here at Vets Memorial Stadium. Inside, the folks in Wisconsin are thrilled. They're doing jump around.
Yeah, Stevens Point fans feel right at home when they hear jump around. They also feel at home when Sidney Ferry's on the mound. He has pitched awfully well and brought some semblance of order to this game from a pitching perspective for Stevens Point.
Burton first pitch swinging. Zach sends it to the third base side, and Comer's there. 1 pitch, 1 out will help the cause for Ferry.
The question is, how long can Ferry go?
Right.
He's their closer. He certainly was brought in a high leverage situation with Catholic pouring it on in the 3-run 3rd inning, which gave a 7-2 lead. He got the side out, and again, has been pretty effective since, but how long is he going to go? And if you pitch him today, have him go the distance, for instance, then he's likely not available tomorrow, and you got to win 2 games to play potentially on Monday or beyond.
What do you always say, though? There is no tomorrow, right?
Well, you got to win today.
There you go.
You definitely, you can't worry about that.
That's right. We shall see. We will watch the drama unfold here. But how about the Pointers, who were down 7-2 and now lead at 11-7? 4 in the 5th, 5 in the 6th. Ben Nardi now. 1-2. think to jump around, and the group that did that song is House of Pain. It's kind of turned into that here in this game. Point was suffering the hurt, falling behind early, and now they inflict the pain. Return the favor to Catholic University.
Well, thanks to a lot of self-inflicted pain by
there's
Catholic U. I mean, they
pain everywhere, right?
They walked 2 guys, about 4-run 5th inning. They hit 2 guys, walked 2 more in the 5-run 6th inning. Point only had 2 hits when they scored 5 runs. So again, it's just like when Point committed 3 errors in 1 inning. When Catholic U had the big 3-run 3rd. A lot of this stuff self-inflicted.
Yeah.
Sloppy game, to be sure.
Yeah, it's been the theme of this game. You're right. Nardi's still battling, 2-2.
I mean, Points had the 2 big bombs, the home run by Simmons in the 1st and the 3-run hit by Tomczak that got him back in the game, but hasn't been pretty from standpoint of Catholic's relief pitcher. Danny Fitzgerald gave him a pretty decent start, gave him 4 innings, but since then.
That's a fair ball. And the carom off the padding will hold Nardi to a single.
Nice play out there by Simmons. I mean, fortuitous bounce,
yes,
to be sure. But he played the fortuitous bounce effortlessly. So instead of an extra base hit like we were all thinking out of the box, Nardi's held to a single. But here's big old Giambetti. Fourth-team All-American. 2 for 3 today.
Giambetti ducks out of the way there. Giambetti was on the base paths after he singled in the 3rd. He was part of those 2 errors that Point committed. There's a liner right to Matson. Throw to first. Double play. Side retired. And the juice and the momentum stays on the side of the guys in the purple caps. Their lead stays intact at 11-7.
Leading off the top of the 7th, second baseman number 22, Jacob Booz.
Top of 7 here in Cedar Rapids. 11-7 is our score. In an elimination contest, Stevens Point in front of Catholic U. I'll keep saying it for the moment. This game has had twists and turns galore, as Jacob Booz will kick things off for the Pointers.
He's 1 for 3 today, 2 for 7 in the tournament. Booz found his way to Stevens Point from Littleton, Colorado.
Martin ahead 1-2.
One of only 3 players not from Wisconsin on the Point roster.
Yeah, a lot of cheeseheads as it's handled by Burton for out number 1. And the batter will be Matson. 3 ABs, scored all 3 times did Matson. Last time he got hit by a pitch, but that was the beginning of that huge 6th inning. Things unraveled quickly for the Cards as Matson takes a strike. Way outside, 2-0.
Martin's the 4th pitcher used by Catholic University. Stevens Point has used 3 pitchers.
On the line at 3rd, Tesorio can't find the handle. It's going to be the first error of the afternoon for Catholic.
Tesorio's got to make that play. He knows it. E5 gives a base runner to Stevens Point with 1 out in the 7th.
And Matson's been on all 4 ABs one way or another. He's been on, and back to the top we go again, and Bauman. Missing, 1-0.
Bauman's 0 for 3 today. He scored a run, though, reached on a fielder's choice and scored in the 5-run 6th inning.
Now in the dirt, 2-0. Simmons on deck.
He's a sophomore from New Berlin, Wisconsin.
Runner goes. Launched by Bauman in the air, foul territory. And Burton makes the grab. 2 away. And here's trouble, as always, in Aaron Simmons.
Simmons had a big day. Home run in the 1st, single in the 3rd, 2 walks and 2 runs scored in the 5th and the 6th. So they haven't retired him today. He's knocked in 3 runs. He's knocked in 4 in the tournament. He's been their most productive offensive player all season. It's continued here. Simmons now with 21 home runs on the year, 65 RBIs.
The 21 homers, that's set a new single season school record at Stevens Point. It's also set the walk record. Ball squirts away. Matson squirts down to second.
Give him a stolen base as he had broken prior to the ball scooting away from Fisher.
More on the award ceremony here. Simmons also became the school's all-time leader in total bases. And we mentioned earlier that with his triple yesterday, that set the new conference mark for career triples. So he has rewritten the conference and the Stevens Point record books, having a monster All-American campaign.
6-year guy out of Franklin, Wisconsin.
Down around the shoe tops, 3-1.
I just put him on. I don't know why they're messing around now. Martin got ahead with a strike. That's like what he pitched to him. But since then, the base open, I don't know why you're, again, messing around here.
And it's ball 4. Runners at first and second with 2 down for Nelson.
I mean, it's important that Nelson is an offensive force, giving Simmons protection, and he's come through today. 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs. He's 2 for 6 in the tournament. Double in a pair of runs last inning.
Center field. Duke will make the catch. Nothing across for Stevens Point as we stretch them out here in Cedar Rapids. 11-7 Pointers. It's Catholic U's turn to try to chip away and get back into this contest. Bottom of the 7th. Ferry stays out there for Stevens Point with a 4-run lead.
3 1/3 innings so far, his longest outing of the year, a 5-inning stint with an extra inning game.
Leading off the bottom of the 7th.
Going out for the extras. He's been awfully good up till now, and certainly stopped the bleeding for Point and has baffled the Catholic University hitters.
Tesorio will lead it off. Malave to follow, and then Duke. High in the afternoon sky. And shading his eyes is Matson to make the play. Who'd have thought it when we started this morning you'd need some shades, perhaps.
Say it's a glare now.
Yeah.
Hazy kind of day. You can tell Matson had some
Left fielder
problems
number
with
59,
the
Lucas
sun trying to
Malavi.
break through. Catholic down to their last 8 outs, or their season is over.
Here's Malave. Strike 1 to Lucas.
1 for 3 today, 2 for 7 in the tournament.
And Ferry getting ahead quickly.
Cardinals need base runners.
Very ready. 0-2 to Lucas. Strike 3 called. He flinched out of the way, and it was right there in the strike zone.
The second strikeout for Ferry. His 4 innings of work, but that one fooled Malavi in a big way.
Fielder number 40, Billy Duke.
And now the center fielder, Billy Duke.
Ferry's allowed 3 hits, walked 1, but has not allowed a run.
Goes to short. Matson gets there. 1-2-3 frame for Ferry and the Stevens Point Pointers, who lead this game after 7, 11-7.
A single thread is unique. Like each of us, full of purpose and potential. A strand designed to be stronger, braver, greater. We can achieve so much more when we are all as one.
The Vet here in Cedar Rapids, perfect game field. And there's your score. In game 1 on day 2, Stevens Point roaring back after falling behind early to lead this one by 4 at the moment. This is pitcher number 5 now. Oh, it's somebody familiar, Brof, came over from the third base side.
Yeah, Matt Tesario got a 3-run homer in this game. Now going to see if he can pitch. He's done so 10 times this year. Got 3 saves, actually. In 8 1/3 innings, he's allowed 11 hits, 5 earned runs, walked 7, struck out 6. Opponents have hit .297 against Tesario, who does not have a decision. His move from third to the hill means there are changes.
Now Posey goes from second to third, and Zalesnik is now playing at second base for the Cards. That's why you saw the conference with the home plate umpire and Ross Natoli get all the bodies in the proper places on the lineup card.
Yeah, I think it only necessitates one change. Derek Zalesnik goes in for second baseman. Or no, Posey stays in. So who comes out?
Posey's at third.
Yeah. So
and Zalesnik's at second where Posey was.
Yeah, so I guess.
With Desorio now pitching. Here's Comer. Fires it back to the screen on a foul ball.
So Giambetti is now no longer the DH. He's in right field. Malavi comes out of the game, and that's where Zalesnik will hit. You got that, Bob? I'll play along with you at the right time. But anyway, Zalesnik hitting in Malavi's spot in the order. They lose the DH, and Giambetti goes to right field.
All right, then. Crushed to left. And gone. Bradley Comer goes yard. The crowd here was just watching this majestic ball leave perfect game field. It's now 12-7.
10th home run of the year for Comer, a senior from Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Third home run of the day for the Pointers. And welcome to the game, or the hill, Matt Tesario.
The catcher, number 28, Anthony Tomczak.
Up, over, and out of here.
Derek Zalesnik.
All you can do is watch, young man. Ripped. Dropped. Play still made. So that's Posey over there.
Yeah, very nice play by Posey.
So it goes down as a 5-3 putout. A little adventure here.
Hard hit ball, though. Stayed with it. Doesn't have a second baseman's arm. He's got a little juice on it. Nice play by Posey.
One away.
And Point's not getting cheated on their swings against Tesario.
No, they're going up there with a purpose, which they normally do, but even more so now. They smell blood in the water. Here's Ludke. And some of the Catholic U, some of the body language just tells you that this group, the Cinderella run, they're running out of steam. 2-1 to Ludke.
Well, they're running out of steam because they're running out of pitchers.
Pitchers too. Against a team that they feast. Took them a little while to get going, but once they did, it's a runaway freight train. To short, Watson. 2 away.
And we're going to talk about the next game too in Salisbury's without one of their frontline pitchers. The guy was the MVP in this tournament a year ago, is unavailable. He broke his hand. Injury's just a part of the game. You need some good fortune to win this tournament. And Catholic University comes in without Tucker Alch and a 10-game winner, guy that pro guys are talking to. They think he's got a chance to be drafted even in the 20-round draft. And suffered a twinge in his elbow during the Super Regional. He's been unavailable to pitch either yesterday or today. So Catholic U loses their ace pitcher. And again, they just don't have the pitching depth. It doesn't appear to have a long visit to Cedar Rapids. But that's just unfortunate. That's bad luck.
It is. Would have been great to have them at full strength and have him play here on the big stage. Henwood's the batter at 3-0. Up the middle, another base hit. Single for Henwood with 2 away. And Booz will be the batter.
It's only the 10th hit for Stevens. They got 12 runs on 10 hits and have overcome 3 errors.
Yeah, that's all in the distant past now, isn't it? They had the nightmare case of the yips and made some miscues. Fell behind 7-2. Booz the batter, 1-0. Make it 2-0. Punch foul out of play. Well, now, Bill, if you're Nat Richter, lead is 5 at the moment. Do you keep Ferry in there, or do you keep him in there to step on the gas and finish it off?
Well, I think he's shot for tomorrow. I mean, you might as well let him go as long as he can now. I don't see how. I mean, he knows his people better than I do, but throwing that many innings today, I don't see how you can come back. Again, and it goes back to the importance of yesterday's game. When you're in the losers bracket or playing constant elimination games, you got to play a lot of games if you want to have a chance to get to the best of 3 series to the end. I mean, if Point wins, they'll play tomorrow morning at 10 against the loser of the next game, either Salisbury or Marietta. Point would then have to win that game and come back and play tomorrow night and win that game and play Monday. So I just don't think Ferry's going to be available tomorrow, whether he pitches in the 8th or 9th inning or not.
Yeah, point well taken. At this point,
I mean, you rolled the dice, you brought in your best guy.
Yeah.
It was a high leverage situation. You had to stop the bleeding, and Ferry did just that. But he's clearly their best pitcher, and really you could make the argument the only pitcher they've got in the bullpen that's been effective in Cedar Rapids.
meanwhile, the offense tacks on another run for Stevens Point. Middle of 8, there's your score, 12 7-pointers.
Suppliers, Rawlings, Smitty, Specs.
Along with NCAA.com, the home of college sports.
Well, to answer that burning question I posed, there he is, back out there for the bottom of the 8th inning. Number 8. Now with a 5-run lead. Pointers need 6 more outs to stay alive and pick another night here in Cedar Rapids.
Meanwhile, Catholic U needs base runners. Matthew Fisher's the 8-hole hitter. He's had a good tournament. Been on base every time today. His job's to get on base. 6 outs to go for the Cardinals.
Fisher, Watson, the top of the order. Posey. There's a strike. 0-2.
Pitcher drove it. 2 runs in the 3rd. His only hit of the day. He's also walked twice and scored a run.
And Ferry's job right now, as it always is, but even more so, just throw strikes. Let your defense help you out. Get to that finish line.
He's done a pretty good job throwing strikes today. On 54 pitches, 37 of which have been strikes.
The 1-2. Strike 3 called. Ring him up. Fisher down on strikes. Caught looking. 1 away.
3rd strikeout of the day for Ferry.
Shortstop.
Snapped it in there.
Ty Watson.
Here's Watson, the shortstop.
He is 2 of Catholic's 11 hits today. Drove in a run.
Liner just beyond the reach of Booz. So Tig aboard again. 3-hit day for him.
Goes the other way for this line, single to right. Posey's had a tough day at the bat.
Third baseman number 1, Dante Posey.
Popped up to strand 2 runners in the 3rd. Struck out to strand 2 runners in the 5th.
And takes a strike here.
0 for 4 today and was 0 for 4 in the tournament opener.
Has to go to right, but Simmons is right there. 2 down. And the batter will be Burton.
The first baseman number 8.
Yeah,
Zach
Posey
Burton.
freshman, and he's found out it can be frustrating on a big stage.
Here's Burton, who's 1 for 4. And a strike tossed in there by Ferry.
Yeah, he's got to get on to give Nardi and Jim Betty and Tesario a chance to hit with runners on base and get his team back in the game.
Won't do it. Right in the middle of Comer. 8 innings complete here in game 1 of day 2. 12-7 Stevens Point heading to the 9th inning. And for the 9th inning here in a 12-7 contest that has seen all sorts of twists and turns. And Point, if they need some pad, there's the opportunity. Matson to lead it off, then Bauman and Simmons.
Leading off the top of the 9th for the Pointers is the shortstop.
Until Ferry gets the baseball in the bottom of the frame to try to close this out and keep the season alive for Stevens Point. First pitch, second base. Zalesnik is there to make the grab. Matson retired. Now leadoff man Bauman.
Left fielder number 5, Matt Bauman.
6th plate appearance for Bauman. Doesn't have a hit, driven in a run and scored a run.
Center, Duke, backpedaling. Long run, but he gets there, 2 away.
He plays a nice center field.
He really does.
2 quick outs here in the 9th for the Pointers. We get to watch Aaron Simmons at the plate again, and that's always fun.
You know, you mentioned he went to Franklin High School.
Aaron Simmons.
Was also an outstanding football player and could have gone that route as well. Played on the defensive side. He was, and Franklin is one of the, just outside of Milwaukee, one of the premier big school football programs in the state.
They've played in the state title game a number of times.
Oh,
Was he on one of those teams?
Yeah, he was. He was a true 2-sport athlete for the Sabres. But baseball is first love. One and one to Simmons, second team All-American, monster campaign.
Initially, he's 2 for 2 today with 3 walks. He's scored 3 runs, driven in 3 runs.
Two one on the way. Squibber off the end of the bat. Catholic will get one more crack. Try to rally and walk it off when this top of the 9th wraps up, which is still in play as Simmons singles.
Gene Betty looking like a DH playing left field. Sees that one fall in front of him. Simmons' perfect day continues.
And so Nelson gets some more hacks up there with 2 away.
Number 25, Peyton Nelson.
Rips it to left. Fair or foul? Foul. Had the distance, though.
Nice picnic area for Colonels fans to go. Is it open here for the NCAA tournament?
I don't believe so.
You were touring the facility.
Well,
you didn't make it to the picnic area.
If it was open, we'd be broadcasting from there. I can tell you that. Pull a Harry Carey, right?
Yeah.
Take our shirts off.
Well,
Ooh,
I don't
ooh.
know. That's kind of brutal.
It was when Harry did it. Nelson foul.
I don't think the NCAA would allow that.
No.
We got a new coordinator of this event for the NCAA. Aaron King is the NCAA director in charge of the D3 tournament. J.P. Williams had been in that role for about 5-6 years, going back to Appleton.
Comebacker that will get through for another base hit. Simmons goes to third.
Second hit for Nelson, who's driven in 4 today. Middle of the lineup's dangerous. Simmons with 3 RBIs, Nelson with 4, Comer with the long home run his last AB. Tomsek had a 3-run homer. Those guys can hit.
And here is Comer one more time.
Comer greeted Tesario with that long home run last inning.
Upstairs, 1-0. Scoots out of the way.
Coming up next, the battle of unbeatens, the defending champs from Salisbury against top-seeded Marietta. That game likely won't start much before 2:30.
But it'll be must-see TV.
It's 2:30 Central Time.
That's a good matchup, to be sure.
Marietta 43-6, Salisbury 37-10. Fisher giving signs whether he's going to throw through should Peyton Nelson decide to steal a base at first.
And they got him picked off. Side retired, inning over for the Pointers. But the big picture, they have a 5-run lead, needing 3 more outs to advance and play on here in Cedar Rapids. Bottom of the 9th inning here in Iowa. There's your score. There's your Stevens Point pitcher, who will try to get these final 3 outs.
Sidney Ferry's been one of the heroes for the Pointers. Came in the 3rd inning and got some semblance of order from a Pointer perspective on the pitching side. It was 7-2 at that point, and Ferry hasn't allowed a run since. He will pick up the win in this one as his teammates have seen their bats come alive and assume the lead. Ferry looking to put a bow on this one. We'll see the meat of the order from Catholic University.
Nardi, Giambetti, Tesario. Last gasp time for Catholic University.
Barry's allowed 4 hits and 5 1/3 innings of work. This will be his longest outing of the year. He struck out 3, only walked 1.
Smashed into the netting foul.
Barry, if he gets 3 outs, will be 6-0 in the year with 6 saves and an ERA well under 1.8. That's a pretty nice year.
1-1 to Nardi. Nelson went one way, had to stop and go the other way, and the ball went that away. It's a double for Nardi.
He's played ball to be sure. Nelson's a pretty good center fielder, but he broke the wrong way on the line drive by Nardi, which hooked away from him. And this was a misplayed ball. It was well hit to be sure, but if he goes at the right angle at the ball right from the start, he catches it. As it is, it's a leadoff double for the Cardinals, and here's Giambetti, who's hit the ball hard every time up today.
Can they be the cardiac Cardinals and steal this one in the bottom of the 9th? Giambetti, Tesario, and then they need base runners, so one at a time they're thinking. The 0-1 to Peter. Just missing 2-0.
This game started 15 minutes late because we had early morning rains. Now the sun's starting to break through. A lot of the players checking the sky as the sun's burning through the clouds.
It's hazy right now.
Yeah, both couple infielders though looking up.
1-1 is the count. I beg your pardon. And on the foul tip there, it's 1-2. There's that hazy sky. As Bill mentioned yesterday, there was nothing but blue from beginning to end.
Yeah, perfect conditions. As nice a day, I think, as we've ever seen at this event, whether it be in Appleton or here.
Agreed. And another base hit by the Cards. Stop sign goes up. Runners at first and third, and nobody out against Ferry. Well, if the formula is to come back and walk this one off, this is how you do it. This is the start, at least.
Stevens Point going to get some activity in the bullpen as Tesario steps in.
Number 32.
Another well-hit ball by Giambetti, who's now got 3 hits and 5 trips today. Tesario with a 3-run homer in the first, reached an error and scored in the third.
Want to know, Ferry not as sharp here.
No, this is his longest outing. He's got to be tired.
Yep. Trying to will himself to the finish line. 2-0.
That's his 69th pitch. Again, he has never pitched this far into a game this season.
And Tomczak going to have a word with his guy.
And I think this has been ordered from the dugout to give the relief pitcher time to get going. That's Austin Sievertson, who we saw yesterday. Sievertson pitched 2/3 of an inning yesterday. He's throwing right now in earnest in the Stevens Point bullpen.
Two 2-0. Got a strike there. To right, Simmons will get out number 1. Tagging and scoring is Nardi. Makes it 12-8.
4 RBIs now for Tesorio today. But Point will trade outs for runs at this point. Catholic University down to their last 2 outs. And this is Zalesnik for the first time, indeed.
Yep, hitting in Malave's spot. After all the switching and changing that went on.
Derek Zalesnik is
this
isn't him. This
Michael Duty.
Yeah, it's a pinch hitter for Zalesnik. Michael Duty is the pinch hitter. 7 for 50 on the year with a double, a triple, and 3 RBIs.
So Duty gets an A-B here at the College World Series. Bouncing ball to third. Double play could end it. Nope. Throw was wide. Henwood came off the bag and then played to Karam, so 2 down. And Duke, the center fielder, will step to the dish.
Center fielder number 40, Billy Duke.
Last swings perhaps here for this Catholic University Cardinals baseball squad. First trip ever to the College World Series. Squeezed there by Tomczak. One 1-0 to Duke. And the Pointers bullpen. Another bouncing ball foul. The 127 weekend train has arrived, Bill.
Outside the right field fence.
It's not the, there it is.
There you go.
It's not the Edda Express. Those guys will be on the stage next, taking on the defending champs from Salisbury. Point needs to get one more strike. And Ferry thought he had it. 2-2 with 2 away. Fans from Wisconsin on their feet. And they'll stay there. Ball game as Stevens Point roars all the way back. Down early 7-2. But in the end, win it 12-8.
3 home runs. Solo shots from Aaron Sims and Bradley Comer. A 3-run bomb by Anthony Tomczak, which got him back in the game. Made that 7-2 game a 7-6 game. Peyton Nelson with 4 RBIs, Aaron Simmons with 3, Tomczak with 3, and Sidney Ferry with a great job out of the bullpen. Stevens Point lives to play another day. They will play against the loser of the upcoming game between Salisbury and Marietta. Points now 41-9. Catholic ends its season 34-16.
Congrats to the Cards for making the tournament. And Stevens Point will play on. For Bill Brophy and our entire terrific crew here in Cedar Rapids, Bob Brainerd saying so long for now. For now, there's your final score. Point survives. They play on, winning 12-8.